Welcome to FPL Selection. Today we'll take a look at how the team is shaping up for Game Week 13, but first a quick look at how we got on in Game Week 12. So 58 points, now just inside the top 500,000. Wasn't many points scored across the team, but my patience with Enzo Fernandez paid off. He got 11 points. Got a nice instant return from my two transfers, Munoz and Thiago. Thiago even could have had a double figure return, but he had his second penalty saved. Then Lacroix rounded off a nice week with 11 points, and he's under 5% owned. So, yeah, that made a real difference to my position this week. So, yeah, all in all, a good week, and yeah, quite happy with the team overall. So, looking ahead now to Game Week 13, I haven't got any transfer plans for this week, so I'm looking to roll and save for 2 next week. Just get a little bit more information. I think Reijnders is definitely a problem for me in terms of minutes. Paquetá doesn't have great fixtures for the next sort of couple of months. And I'm also looking at potential suspensions for Munoz and Senesi. They're both 1 yellow card away from 1 game ban. So yeah, I think just having the 2 next week is going to be helpful, as I'm sure one of them will get banned, or potentially even 2 of them. And I can't really depend on Reijnders for minutes at the moment. So yeah, I think we're just going to roll into next week, and Game Week 14 is just in the midweek as well. So yeah, always potential for injuries and rotation there. So looking at the current team, first up the defence, Pope is away to Everton. Now, I think Newcastle, that's 5 games now without a clean sheet. So they're still putting up okay numbers. I think they're the 3rd best defence for expected goals against. But they've definitely been a lot more leaky recently. And in all honesty, City could have scored 2 or 3 quite comfortably last week. I think they rode the luck a little bit. But yeah, Pope always gets the save points, which is really starting to add up over the season now. He's regularly getting 3 points when he doesn't get a clean sheet. And, you know, those extra points are really starting to add up over the season. I think it's an extra 2 clean sheets equivalent. So, yeah, still happy to keep him for the long term. And I think Newcastle will, you know, turn it around at some point and keep a few cleans again, because I just think they're always well set up and they've got good defenders. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to last forever. And Senesi is away to Sunderland. I think this is a decent fixture for Bournemouth. Sunderland have been much better at home this season, but equally, you still don't see them as a top level attack. I think their strength is in their defence, really. So yeah, every chance, Senesi's going to hit DEFCON again, as he always does. And yeah, good chance of a clean sheet here. So yeah, wouldn't put it past a nice score from Senesi this week. Then Munoz is at home to Man United, and I've got the double up there with Lacroix. I think United are certainly not a good team in terms of, keeping them out. I think the Everton game was a little bit of an anomaly in terms of the fact that, they went down to 10 and they were, quite happy to sit deep. And any time that a team, ends up playing like this, it's very difficult for United to break down. I think Palace, yeah, they do like to play in that deeper block and then hit teams on the counter, but you'd think in a home game, they're going to be quite confident to, try and attack United. And, you can see United's weaknesses in defence. I think they're the 3rd worst in the league for expected goals against. So they're going to have a go at United, and, there might be potentially, I'm just not expecting that clean sheet from Palace, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. And I'm just playing the double up because I think Palace are a better defence than Sunderland and Burnley. And I just don't feel like playing, Alderete or Estev over either of my Palace players is going to be worth it. Munoz obviously has got the attacking threat, and I'll play him every week. I'm never going to bench him. But yeah, I think I'm going to hedge my bets here and go for the double against United. And as a United fan, just hopefully that doesn't pay off. And if we have another bad game, at least I've got the double clean sheet there in FPL. So yeah, that's the only reasoning there, really. And moving on to the midfield, Saka is away to Chelsea. I think Saka was, relatively unlucky against Spurs not to get anything. He still looked quite threatening. He was actually in the right place for a pass from Trossard for the first goal. Obviously, he got the finish, in the end, but on another day would have squared that to Saka, and he'd have another goal, and I think a lot more people would be bringing him in. Chelsea's going to be a very tough game though. I think Chelsea have got one of the better defences in the league now, in terms of stats. And, they're quietly looking much more solid, Chelsea. And I think it's going to be a tough game for Arsenal. I think it's going to be quite low scoring this one. But as I've said with Saka many times before, I think he's the kind of player you just play every single week. You keep him for a majority of the season, and he will continue to get returns for you. So, yeah, he'll probably be the vice captain this week. And, yeah, no surprise ever if Saka gets a return. And Fernandes is away to Palace. Now, Palace is a really tricky game, especially away from home. I think it's, one of the better defences in the league. They're so well set up, and United just seem to struggle breaking down teams that defend a bit deeper. Fernandes does still get his chances every week. Again, he had 2 great efforts against Everton. Pickford made some really good saves. And, he's the one that makes Man United tick. Even if he does play deep, he'll still get, 1 or 2 chances in the game. So I'd never doubt him to pick something up, but it's certainly not a fixture to give you much confidence, especially after that Everton result the other day. And Enzo is at home to Arsenal. Finally got some returns last week after being really promising for many weeks now. His stats are really good. He's got one of the best non-penalty expected goal involvements out of all midfielders. I can't remember where he's in the list, but he's in the top 5 or 6 players, I think. Certainly up there anyway. And home game. They're creating chances, Chelsea. I think they've got the highest team XG now for the season when I was looking earlier. So, they're still creating chances, and Enzo does seem to get a chance in every game. So you wouldn't put it past them getting something here, but again, any game against Arsenal, you're never really that hopeful. Then Reijnders is at home to Leeds. Now, I'm completely aware of the situation with Reijnders, that he hasn't started for a while now. He's had injury issues. He's had illness, I believe, at one point. But then he missed the last game. Well, he didn't start again. He played the full game in midweek in the Champions League. So I think everything is pointing towards him still sitting on the bench. But City did lose last week. And, they are one of the first games this weekend. So we may get some early team news. I just think that fixture Leeds at home. Everyone's going to have Haaland captain. It'd be really nice to have a second City player. Reijnders is being sold, in big numbers. He is a goal scoring midfielder. And, we've seen the quality of his finishing. He has had plenty of chances in other games to get a few more goals. So I think it will be, a case of just seeing if we get the early team news. If he does start, I think I might just gamble it and play him. The alternative would be Paquetá, who's at home to Liverpool. Again, you could see that as probably quite a good fixture as well, really, the way Liverpool are playing at the moment. But yeah, I'd just like to have that second City attacker for this game. So at the minute he's in, but it will be dependent on, team news closer to the deadline. So moving on to the forwards, Haaland is at home to Leeds. As mentioned earlier, he'll be my captain. Home game against a newly promoted team. I think Leeds are going to be missing a couple of midfielders there. And Haaland's had the full week rest. He's, obviously he didn't score against Newcastle, so he's going to be, very keen to get the goal tally, continue, growing that tally. So, yeah, I'm expecting a big score from Haaland this week, and yeah, it's just a no-brainer to stick the captaincy on him again. And Mateta's at home against United. Again, as discussing earlier, United's defence, one of the worst in the league in terms of chances XG against. So, yeah, Mateta, I think Palace is now, they have gone down to, I think it's 3rd or 4th in the team XG. But Mateta does seem to get one good chance every week. And, yeah, you just back him to finish most of them. So, yeah, absolutely no doubts here. He's going to get at least one good chance against this United defence. And, yeah, he missed it last week against Wolves. So, yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he gets a return here against United. Then Thiago is at home to Burnley. Just gets penalties every week. That's all you can say, really. And he missed the second one after a good save from Verbruggen. But, he just keeps getting the penalties. And he is the main man for Brentford. Home game against Burnley. you're expecting at least a few chances for him. And he's shown this season that, even outside of the penalties, he's still a good finisher. So, yeah, very hopeful here. Glad I bought him in early last week, and I think he's going to be a nice set and forget for a good chunk of the season now. And, yeah, any talisman on penalties, I think, is always a nice pick. And, yeah, it's a good fixture for Brentford. So, they'll be expecting a win and some goals from Thiago. So, in summary, straightforward captaincy choice this week. Haaland at home to Leeds. Nothing to think about there. Saka will be vice again. He's just my second most trusted player, really. No other fixtures jump out there. I'm going to have to wait for the early team news on City to see if I start Reijnders. But if I don't get anything concrete, then I'll probably start Paquetá in front of him, as I don't think, home game, Paquetá's generally a 90-minute man. Liverpool defence is nothing at the moment, so yeah, I wouldn't have any issue there. I just think that Leeds fixture for City is, potentially 4 or 5 goals, and Reijnders can at least get an hour, 70 minutes. There's potentially something in it for him. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.